Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. I'm Kabir Naqvi. This is going to be a special broadcast, but before that, the top headlines we're tracking for you. Dubai all set for News9 Global Summit. The UAE Edition. The focus is going to be on strengthening the India and UAE's economic and cultural partnership. Top government officials and celebrities amongst the high-profile speakers. Stay tuned. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Zagreb in Croatia on the final leg of the three-nation tour. This is the first ever visit to Croatia by an Indian Prime Minister. He's expected to hold talks to boost the cultural ties and the people-to-people ties between these two nations. A 110 Indian students, including 90 from Jammu and Kashmir, have been evacuated from Iran via Armenia. The flight is likely to land in Delhi at 2 a.m. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warns United States against intervention in the war with Israel. Says Iran will not surrender and any intervention will have a forceful response. In the same vein, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's stern warning to Israel as well. Says Tehran will not ignore attacks on its territory. The armed forces of Iran are on alert. Amid the escalating tension, Israel now claims it fired over 30 ballistic missiles, striking more than 75 targets in the Gaza Strip. In a major partnership development, Dassault Aviation, in partnership with Reliance Infrastructure subsidiary, is now going to manufacture the Falcon 2000 business jets in India and is going to deliver the first made-in-India Falcon 2000 by the end of the year 2028. The Calcutta High Court has directed the centre to implement the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme in West Bengal from the 1st of August. Says centre empowered to impose special conditions and restrictions. New details emerge in Raja Raghuvanshi murder case. The Sonam Raghuvanshi, now it's being learned, carried 3 phones during the murder. Second machete was used in the murder has now been recovered from the crime scene, and a new name that has now come to light with 119 different calls going to this new number. Like I told you right at the onset, this is going to be a special coverage. This is because the countdown to the landmark occasion and event has in fact begun. Dubai is set to host the News9 Global Summit 2025 UAE Edition, and the spotlight is firmly on a relationship that's redefining regional diplomacy and economic growth, India and the United Arab Emirates. The theme is Partnership for Prosperity and Progress. The summit is bringing together powerful voices from ministers and business leaders to tech innovators and cultural icons, all united in driving the next chapter of this vibrant bilateral bond. We've got a roundtable that's waiting for you, but before that, a quick sneak peek of what really is expected from this summit. Here's the event AV on your screens first.
Friendships aren't forged overnight. In 2015, India extended a hand.
UAE welcomed a new era.
SEPA changed everything. Trade doubled. Ambitions tripled.
One is the world's fastest growing economy.
The other, a desert turned into a digital future.
Together, we build the partnership of tomorrow.
This June at the Taj Dubai.
The world listens in. India, the story.
UAE, the stage.
Together, the next global page.
All right then. As a curtain raiser, let's set the stage with a special conversation that captures the spirit and substance of what does in fact lie ahead. Let's head over to Dubai, where my colleague Nabila Jamal is standing by to kick off the dialogue with an exclusive roundtable. Nabila, all over to you. We see that expansive setup that has now in fact been put up. Nabila, take it away.
Thanks very much, Kabir. We're joining our viewers live right from Dubai, the city of dreams, as we call it. This is where we set the countdown rolling for the Grand India UAE Summit, hosted by News9, our global summit, where we discuss India UAE partnership for prosperity and progress. Why this is special? It's not any other conversation. It's where actual policy makers converge, where we discuss in depth the $10 trillion opportunity between the two nations, the startup highway that spans all the way from Delhi to Dubai, AI innovation cutting through all the hype, all the wealth moves, gold, real estate, and cultural icons who are going to be joining us, the best of the conversations, possibly the rarest, with Ekta Kapoor, Sunil Shetty, Vivek Oberoi, Nargis Fakhri. I could go on. We have policymakers, we have entrepreneurs, we have investors, we have just about everyone who could make this summit a rare and a special one. I'd like to introduce our guests here. They're not our guests. They're in fact the towers behind the summit, the people who are oiling this machine. I have with me Sridharan, who is the editor international of TV9 Network. We also have Karthik Malhotra, who is executive editor with TV9. We also have Karthikeya Sharma, who is the managing editor with News9. And of course, Aditya Rajkol, executive editor with TV9 Network. I'll start with Sridharan, who's been the man who's known as the architect of the News9 Global Summit. Sridharan, why is India UAE Summit so special?
So, Nabila, if you look at it in this region, UAE is perhaps the most significant partner that India has, and it is a partnership which the Prime Minister has personally, I would say, cultivated over the last 10 years. Let us not forget that soon after he was elected as a Prime Minister, he first made a trip to UAE, and many people were surprised. Why is it that the Prime Minister of a large country making a trip to UAE at a time? He was the first Prime Minister in 34 years, Indian Prime Minister to visit UAE. So at that time, obviously, UAE was not a very strategic partner for India. It was not a large trading partner. Of course, there were, like Indian workers were working here. We had oil imports, but it was not a strategic partner in the larger scheme of things. But I think the credit must go to the Prime Minister for his foresight, that he's personally invested so much energy and time. He's been to UAE 7 times, which is again a record of sorts. So this is essentially precedes a lot of global realignment that we are now witnessing, be it in terms of the economic realignment or the geopolitical realignment that's happening. And I think in some sense, Prime Minister Modi has been able to see that, of the shape of things to come. And he has invested in building this partnership. So as a result, today, in 2022, we signed a comprehensive partnership agreement with UAE. As a result of that, trade has more than doubled. It's now almost $88 billion. We're hoping to hit $100 billion in 2030. Then parallelly, we also have an I2U2 partnership, which is between India, Israel on one side and US and UAE on the other side. This is a very interesting partnership which actually leverages the strength of each of the 4 countries, and it's designed to solve bring market solutions to big global challenges. So I think this is a very comprehensive partnership which is emerging and taking shape. And the focus now is how do we move away from, let's say, minimize the reliance on oil trade, which is the backbone of the India-UAE partnership, and bring newer aspects. Under I2U2, for example, there are 6 core sectors which we identified. So we will see a lot of activity happening on the trade front, in technology, in infrastructure, in water, in green energy happening between the two countries. So this is going to be a relationship for the world to watch in the decade ahead.
Absolutely, and we're currently in a very precarious situation. There is current war happening between Iran and Israel, and we know how tight oil supplies can be. And at a time like this, when India, UAE are going to be discussing alternate avenues, this couldn't be a better place to discuss and delve into those and a lot many other issues. Karthik, why
That's
is
right,
this special?
Nabila. I think, what makes also, I think, it's important to state that, number one, we are sitting where, I'm not sure if our viewers will be able to see, but the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, is just a few meters away from us. But yeah, you're right. I think, it's an active conflict region right now.
Yeah.
UAE...
Thank God our flights didn't get cancelled.
Absolutely. Thank God our flights landed safely as well. But more importantly, I think it's a hot region right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the weather outside. It's really hot outside. But from a political perspective, it's a very hot climate. And if you remember, 2020 was the year when the Abraham Accords were signed. And it was a very decisive moment initiated by the US to ensure that Israel and the Arab countries are able to live in peace and really synergize their existence together, because you can't change your neighbors. Countries are not homes that you can just change, right? But I think this is a real test of the Abraham Accords. And to my mind, it's going to be a real test given what we are hearing from President Donald Trump as well, where he's literally coaxing a surrender from Iran. And Iran going absolutely steadfast and saying nothing doing. We are not really going to give in. So is there going to be an end to this conflict or not? We really don't know. But the fact is that UAE becomes very, very interestingly positioned in this dynamic, because the Hormuz Strait is in fact about 50 to 60% of the oil trade of the world passes through that strait. And in fact, in the wake of what we are seeing, the action in the Gulf region right now, just 2 days back, two boats had collided with each other, and there's been a bit of an oil spill as well. So the point is, in case, I'm trying to come to the oil question that you asked, that in case the Hormuz Strait were to get actively involved as a region in this conflict, which is hot right now, oil prices are going to go through the roof. And oil prices already are trading at about $77 a barrel. This shift has happened in the last 15 days or so, when we've seen that oil prices were below the $64 mark. So we are seeing a massive jump in oil prices already. For India's own economic growth, which the RBI says India will grow at 6.5%, India expecting oil prices to stay below $70. We're already almost $7 above that. So for the globe, for India, it's going to be difficult if this conflict were to continue for any longer than it already has.
Well, but amid the conflict, if you're having these discussions, what does that mean? Karthike, 3.6 million Indians currently residing in the UAE, and we are thriving in every sphere, be it healthcare, AI, innovation, technology, hospitality, I could name it. UAE looks to India or Indians in every aspect of their development.
I think there has been an evolution of Indian interest in UAE, a place which was sort of a cultural, economic, a social backwater 130 years ago, 100 years ago, has reinvented itself. It's like Singapore. So UAE in itself has a story to tell the world. It's multicultural, 200 nationalities work here. I mean, just you go out and you'll find people from every walk of the world working here. Why has that happened? Because it's a success story. Very few people realize that they have a ministry of tolerance, they have a ministry of possibilities. I mean to say, it might sound rhetorical, but then someone has thought about it. And secondly, UAE is an example which even Mohammed bin Salman is trying to follow. A lot of people say that he's trying to invest billions of dollars in making a city which he's been promoting, like called Line. Through the middle of the desert. But the fact of the matter is, even Mohammed bin Salman, who is the most powerful player, with Mohammed bin Zayed, for whom he's some sort of, I would say, is in a sort of a senior relationship with MBS, is trying to emulate. So UAE is a success story from West Asia, from the Indian point of view. Secondly, what do we do when we talk about our summit? Coming back to our summit, I think we have to look at it holistically. It's business, it's strategic affairs, and I'll take cue from Sri. When he spoke about Prime Minister coming here, it was not only about the business. Prime Minister very strategically has invested in two people who they call the shots in West Asia, MBZ and MB, Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. They are the two principals in the West Asian politics. Bashar al-Assad is no more. He's not there. Secondly, it's both business, strategic, trade, and security, because UAE also has a very strong Chinese presence, a very strong and a silent Chinese presence. And India, being a player there, has been able to counter that Chinese presence. People think of West Asian politics from American bases, war in Iraq. No, it's not that. You know, it's a place where a lot of business and innovation is happening. And I have no hiccup in saying that this is an Indian century. You know, we just need to reclaim it.
Surely,
we need to say it, and we need to press it, because there is also a narrative war. It's an Indian century.
Yeah.
And it is for that reason, from this perspective, we have to see News9's Global Business Summit here. It's what India can do with UAE in terms of partnership, in terms of the sort of instability which Trump has created through ad hoc tariffism, if I may use the word. And can UAE, India steer the climate? Can they be a shining example of bilateralism? Can I2U2 show the way? These are the questions which this summit will probe, apart from other, issues which are on plate. So I just want to bring UAE and India back into the picture. It's important for both of us, and if it is important for India and UAE, it's important for the world, because we matter.
Yeah, yeah. You know, from a diplomatic standpoint, bringing Aditya on this, UAE and India have been partners, not for now, but for well over a few decades. I think it's only about now that UAE has now openly began to express its affection for India, undying affection for India, and the willingness to invest. There's a lot of money flowing into various sectors, and they're open to Indians and Indian innovation, Indian ideas. Correct. So, exactly. And precisely why I say that the undying affection to India that UAE has, at this point in this stage, News9 Global Summit is all set to explore the avenues that UAE is now willing to invest. So would you want to break it down for us? Where do you think is really the focal point between the India-UAE relations?
Nabila, a good diplomacy is always measured by, good economic power and the economic relationship, and a good soft power. And when it comes to New Delhi and ties between UAE, there is both. There's the best of both worlds. You see the CEPA agreement that has happened more than 3 years ago, the Comprehensive Economic Partnership, that has just gone from strength to strength. And I think UAE realizes and has realized over the last decade the economic potential that India has, and has invested repeatedly in this, be it the sovereign funds of Abu Dhabi that are invested in the Gift City and several other areas all across the country. Apart from that, of course, from Shah Rukh Khan's to Amitabh Bachchan's to Salman Khan, there are so many of the talented Bollywood actors who are representing, who are basically the brand ambassadors of Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So, as my friend Karthikeya also mentioned, there is a BAPS Mandir, Swaminarayan temple that has come up in Abu Dhabi. And that was referred to as one of the most golden moments by Sheikh Al Nahyan, who is the tolerance and coexistence minister here. And every passing day, you will see some or the other economic event taking shape here, and annual summits happening either in Dubai or, in fact, in New Delhi. In fact, very recently, we had Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri on a 2-day visit to Dubai and Abu Dhabi, meeting people not just from the foreign ministry, but from different spheres who are basically the wheels of this entire relationship, taking this really forward. Now, you have to also realize that how, easy is this relationship between India and UAE, that even when India has to talk to Taliban, the talks are taking place in Dubai.
Right.
Vikram Misri was, there for talks with the Taliban that were being hosted by the UAE. And I would say that it's not just an economic sphere of the relationship. There's a personal bond that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has with the royal family here. And this is a two-way street. It's not a one-way economic model that's happening. Trump would like to talk about the tariffs, and the tariffs will impose restrictions for those countries, the countries that I'm talking about. But when it comes to UAE and India, there is a huge Indian diaspora here. There are
Yes.
3.5 million people. Out of them, 35% are businessmen or professionals or engaged in white-collar jobs. So there's an immense respect for the Indian population here, and they are doing wonders.
And all of it faces representatives from every sector are likely to be joining us. In fact, Shri is going to give us a little on the kind of people that we have and what's to look out for.
Get to the summit per se, I just want to add to the point that Aditya was making.
Yeah.
You asked him about the new sectors. UAE as a nation has plans of investing about $100 billion in India, $100 billion. So this money is going to go into various sectors.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to go into infrastructure, it's going to go into port infrastructure, it's going to go into green energy, it's going into edtech, fintech. Many of our Indian startups are funded by the big funds, sovereign funds, and UAE. So what very clearly is visible from this partnership is that UAE is keen to support and capitalize on the growth of an economy of India's size, the large economy that's going fastest large economy right now. And India in turn obviously has been a very large source of capital, talent, and as AI becomes an important a product in the mix of this whole economic growth, you will see UAE forging closer ties with India in terms of its own AI aspirations. UAE is one of the first countries to have an AI ministry. It has introduced AI in school curriculum. So in terms of the foresightedness, the progressiveness of this leadership, it's remarkable. What they have created, since their independence in 1971 is truly a nation which is the envy of a lot of other countries.
Correct.
The stability, the prosperity, the peace, the safety that they offer to, just about any nationality, any person, any immigrant who wants to come here and do something productive.
Yeah.
It's unmatched.
I hear that Indians are the most number of people who've been given golden visas.
That's right. We are the largest, immigrant population in the UAE.
Yeah.
So I think that's just an arithmetic thing.
And a prized one, for sure.
Absolutely.
They value the Indian effort, the
Yes.
Indian
So what started as
sincerity.
a stream with laborers and blue-collar workers helping build UAE,
Correct.
literally from the ground up, is now becoming an inflow of more white-collar professionals, now skilled people, and hence the golden visa, which is meant to draw, all the top-notch talented people. In fact, the policies are so great that you don't need to actually have an office. You could have an office anywhere else. As long as you're a certain professional who adds value to the economy, you're welcome to come set up your office here and do business and get a golden visa. So I think what UAE offers truly is a unique platform today as a springboard to global growth for a lot of Indian startups. So if you look at our summit, that's going to take place tomorrow, Nabila, there are many important themes we're covering.
Yeah.
One, we're looking at the CEPA partnership and what is the way forward. We're going to look at the startup corridor. We're going to look at the tariffs and how does India and UAE, how do they navigate the relationship in the uncertain environment around tariffs that have been created. And we're going to be looking at also the software element. We have a lot of Bollywood stars talking about the cultural linkages, and obviously you have a lot of fans, Bollywood fans here.
Yeah.
So it is literally a 360 we're doing on the India-EU relationship in the context of what's happening around the world. So this is going to be a very important summit, and going by the registration that we've got for the summit, I think this is unprecedented.
Amazing. Why is this unprecedented? I'd like to ask Karthik, you've been driving the machine for the last few days. I've seen you aggressively speak to people, bring together all the magnates from industries. Why is this special? Who are we expecting tomorrow?
No, in fact, I think we're expecting a whole host of people, and of course the big ones Sri has already mentioned, and so has Karthik. I think we have, and so have you, in fact. So I think, the agenda is there on our website for all to see, but I think what makes this summit really special is that we are providing a platform. As a media network, our job is to provide a platform where meaningful conversations can take place. And that is something that we at News9 have been trying to do, and I think have done with some degree of modesty, if I can add. We've done fairly successfully in Stuttgart last year. We would be repeating that again in Stuttgart this year in Germany. And of course, the News9 Global Summits that we hold in India as well. I think it's a credible platform, and people want to come to credible platforms to engage in a real meaningful dialogue. I think as our viewers also would have noticed, we are not the kind of a channel that likes to scream, shout, and make a lot of noise and cut a lot of windows and get 20 people as guests and not have a conversation. I think our DNA has been to channelize conversations in a very meaningful way. And that is exactly what we are trying to do with our global summits as well. So the idea really is that you come. I'll give you an example, for example, the session that we are doing on alternate investments tomorrow. We have a great deal of representation from India as well as from UAE, where you have the President of the World Gold Council in conversation with one of the largest wealth managers in India. So that's the kind of conversation that you have. And the idea is to really go beyond just getting people to say something to make headlines, but to have a platform where they can engage meaningfully and really take those partnerships forward.
And this also comes right in time.
Can I take this
Yeah,
forward?
sure.
If you recall the journey of Indian cinema from late 1970s, what would you remember UAE for? You would remember UAE for people running from Mumbai and running to Dubai, or the flight of money, or the biscuits coming from Dubai. And then came the issue of narco-terrorism. Those stereotypes existed. Look at the Dubai story here. It has completely reinvented. They last year passed a rule that any joint stock private company, they need to have one woman member in the board. That's not there in India. Look at the reinvention. I'm pressing the UAE story because that's what News9 Business Summit is doing. That's what Sri and Karthik had worked upon, because there's a UAE India story in this business summit.
Correct.
And this is breaking a stereotype. You look at our films. What was the stereotype? Don Bhagya, Dubai Bhagya.
But that has totally changed.
That has changed.
And credit to UAE
that has
as
changed.
well.
Then it was all about glitz.
Because they're working very closely with the Indian government to ensure that such fraudsters don't, escape the country. Working hand in hand with the Indian government.
That's where interest-based diplomacy of Modi came in. It was under a lot of criticism. I really don't want to get into that. But that interest-based diplomacy has worked well for our country because interests between nations are permanent, not friendship between individuals. And India-UAE relationship is a hallmark of that.
Which is why now I believe this the partnership is transparent, it's solid, and it has enough and more success as I envision it. A quick word as we are talking about a News9 Global Summit that pans across different parts of the world. After Germany, we're here in UAE. Why, at this point, is this the highlight, the India story, Aditya? What is India's position globally, and why is the News9 Global Summit happening in different parts of the globe the necessity of the day?
Karthik made interesting point, and I'll just make one comment on that. One of the turning points of India-UAE ties was also when UAE handed over Christian Michel to India when the Augusta Westland entire scam had happened. So I think that was a turning point. There was a court in Abu Dhabi that gave that order, and the government here gave a green signal. And I remember it was almost a decade ago, but the kind of news environment that had created was immense. Apart from that, the diplomacy that you're talking about, you would see that at the News9 Global Summit. You'll have the Indian ambassador Sanjay Sudhish addressing the gathering. You'll have the Consul General of India in Dubai, Satish Kumar Sivan, also addressing. You'll have representatives from the UAE government, the most critical being the economic ministry. You'll have bureaucrats and diplomats from there addressing the News9 Global Summit. Something quite similar to that happened in Germany for the first time, must I add, in Stuttgart, where we had ministers not just from India, Ashwini Vaishnav, and of course Jyotiraditya India speaking. We had at least 3 ministers from Germany also speaking there. We had, legends from the industry, from different industries speaking in Germany, and this was first of the kind summit that had happened in Germany. This time around also we'll have the keynote address by Hardeep Singh Puri, a senior minister in the Modi cabinet, and thereafter we have about 6 to 7 very significant panels. And one of the most critical aspects that we haven't really spoken about is the India-Middle East Economic Corridor, the IMEC. That was announced immediately after the G20 summit in Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi in 2023. Now, many people will say the kind of conflicts that are happening today have put that on a back burner currently.
On freeze,
but only few hours ago, I just saw a video of Prime Minister Modi meeting the French President Macron and joking that you're fighting on X these days with President Trump. But immediately after that, Macron asked him, what is with the IMEC? What is the position of the IMEC right now? And it has a great potential. You met the Cyprus president. What did you discuss about the IMEC? So I think that will bring in a lot of transformation. Just like Karthik and Sri mentioned about the Abraham Accords, I think the Saudi and Israel normalization will also happen. It may take some more time. You are seeing some kind of a, behind the table cooperation that is taking place already. And if there is a new Middle East that really is created in the days ahead, there's more prosperity for the people of the Middle East, and they will certainly look towards India for further cooperation.
Absolutely.
And IMEC will certainly become a reality.
Well, we're looking forward. We're short on time, Karthike. At this point, we know that India's global standing is well acknowledged, and the News9 Global Summit, India UAE Partnership for Prosperity and Progress, will discuss in detail India UAE's future. So if you want to know everything that you need to know about investments, wealth opportunities, the kind of money that there is for Indian innovations, then this is where you've got to tune in. Thanks very much, all of you, for joining us. Looking forward to this grand summit come tomorrow.
.5 lakh strong legacy and counting. Join the big league with the XUV 700 with celebratory offers up to Rs 75,000.